morning.
Good morning.
My name is Keith Fraze, and I am your worship associate this morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 361 in your gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
And I'm the Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you've been with this congregation a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage is, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral homelands of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. We have two announcements from the Arts Committee. So if you brought a wreath and it's not hanging up, we will hang it up after service today. And next week we're having a sale with centerpieces and baskets and other things that the Arts Committee is making. So it's one of our good fundraisers. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you're present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall. If you're watching the live stream, the link for our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email. If you're just recently joining us and you would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at uucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure you're added to our e-news list. Also, please remember to silence your cell phones at this time. Once again, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley.
Good morning. Good morning. Today is a joyful day. Today is an abundant day. Today is a day where we have gathered from so many different spaces to come to this one sanctuary. And the poet and prophet and teacher Rumi talks about how light goes through windows in different ways. And light reflects differently and creates different shadows in different locations, but it's all connected to one sun. And we all, on our disparate journeys today, are in this one space. And what will happen here? We will sing. We've already done that. We're going to sing more. We will welcome amazing human beings into the membership and the life of this congregation, people who are kind-hearted and curious and creative. We will practice the rituals anchored in our tradition. Lighting a chalice is a symbol of hope, even in hard times. and blessing and offering a flower ceremony ritual to remind us of our connections across our distinctiveness. In a moment, I'm going to welcome a few guests, but first I want to welcome to the pulpit someone in our congregation who has a special thank you he wants to share. Luke.
Hi, I just wanted to thank those who were able to come out to see me in Les Mis. It really meant a lot to feel so loved and supported from this community. So yeah, thank you.
And as we welcome friends and neighbors into our congregation, I also want to give a great appreciation to the wonderful Be Yourself bookstore, which is a longtime community partner of our organization in the last few years. They are doing tremendous work helping share stories and books about beauty and life, about LGBT teens coming of age, making sense of this world, stories of fantasy and stories of real life. So I want to welcome Rebecca, Aliana, and Emma to the congregation today. During coffee hour after service, you can check out Be Yourself books and perhaps make a purchase for a loved one in your life, or to support our 4 Fridays program, which is a partnership with the Peekskill Library to have a dynamic once-a-month drop-in space for LGBT youth in northern Westchester. It's a wonderful offering of this community, and so many people have volunteered to make it real. And I want to give a special appreciation to Karishma Gottfried, who is a seminarian at Union Theological Seminary and an apprentice at Community Church, New York, who will be speaking with our coming of age students today about what does it mean to be in seminary and what is Unitarian Universalism. Maybe I should go to that. But I'm just so grateful to be in this loving space with you. And as we do on Sunday, we will, in a moment, ring the bells of our sanctuary. We ring them loud and invite all the children in attendance to join our Director of Religious Exploration, Jane Podell, in the bell tower. We will ring the bells for our shared values and principles of joy. May it be so. Jane. You are a child. You are welcome to head to the bell tower with Jane Podell. We have a lot of children today. And may those bells remind us of our values. Today's chalice lighting words are adapted from Max Warren. Our first task in approaching another people, another culture, another religion, is to take off our shoes, for the place we are approaching is holy. Else we find ourselves treading on other strings. Now please join me in saying our unison affirmation. The words are in your order of service. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice. Now if you'll please rise and body your spirit and join in singing our song of praises, number 381 and 382. We'll be doing it in English and Spanish.
Song
this is a special day. It is a day where 3 people have chosen to commit to the life and adventure and challenges and opportunity and growth that comes from being part of a Unitarian Universalist community. The sanctuary where we gather is nearly a century old. It was built in 1926. Its first life was as a Methodist church. It very briefly was the site of the Reformed Temple here in Croton, and since the 1960s, it has been our home for the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Hudson Valley. Many people before us have signed the membership book. One gentleman in this photo is still with us, Carl Grimm. And this photo from 1980 is a celebration of the then new road sign celebrating the fellowship, then called the Croton Unitarian Fellowship of Briarcliff, Ossining, and Croton. So as you join us today, you join a long lineage of people, including some in your family, who have been part of the life of this congregation. It is a deep joy to now invite Betsy, Kate, Megan, and Yaya to come forward as we begin a membership ceremony. Our membership ceremony is one that is not bestowed on the minister. It is a community offering. Voices from the people, voices from you choosing, voices from all of us welcoming and affirming. You have chosen to be here in this community. It will offer you joys and challenges, sorrow and laughter, reflection and insight. This community will offer you companions for your spiritual journey. It will offer you a vision for the world that we can build together.
We are grateful for your decision to be here. We offer you always our support and our gratitude. We will always do what we can to help you find what you are seeking here.
Thank you for choosing to be with us. We are eager for your insights and your questions. We will meet your open minds and hearts with ours. We will work alongside you. We will cry and celebrate with you, and try in earnest to be there when you need us.
And I invite the new members, if you still feel called, to
So you're saying this is our last chance?
We are grateful to be here in this place of open minds, hearts, and willing hands. We are glad to share our visions of a better world, as we know that it is harder to love than to believe. May we always grow in love.
And the story that we are part of now is part of a longer story. And the last offering is that one of the earliest Unitarians, Miguel Servetus, once said, Ardua magis res est amare quam credere. It means it's harder to love than it is to believe. It's harder to love. It's nobler to love. It's beautiful to love across difference. And he was convinced that more values united Judaism, Christianity, and Islam than divided them. And seeking wisdom from the world's religions is ancient. And your choice today says there's possibility across difference and hope and love. Thank you. Thank you. Sherry Brown, who is the chair of our membership committee, has gifts of wisdom. Gifts of wisdom and life. Would which include booklets and reflections, prayers, meditations, opportunities to take some personal time to grow and deepen in faith, imagination, and spirituality. Thank you so much for joining our congregation. We are lucky. Thank you. You can return to your seats as all of us together, new members and friends, participate in a ritual sacred in our tradition, the flower ceremony. The flower ceremony is older than this sanctuary. It was first offered in 1923 at the Prague Unitarian Church, where Norbert Čapek and his wife Maja worked hard to try to imagine a religion, ritual that could unite people across difference. This is what Čapek wrote. We have chosen flowers, nature's most tender, common, and beautiful gift, as our symbol and sacrament. A flower is divine. You cannot create it, whatever effort you make. You can only create a forgery without fragrance and life. What is expressed in our symbol, our sacrament? Each one of us is symbolized in a flower. The flowers together in these vases and on these pedestals symbolize our commonality, our neighborliness, our connections, how we are brought into this world we did not choose, and how we leave we do not know. But that element of the flower reminds us that however brief, we are connected and we have the opportunity to shine. When you leave this meeting in peace and without rush, each of you will take a blossom out of this building as a sign that we are connected. We strive to create an atmosphere that is positive to spiritual growth. Anyone who would come with a different purpose would feel this is not their home. Let the wind caress your soul like the breeze from the sky. And this is the blessing that Čapek used on the flowers. And I will bless them, and then Jane and Luke and a few others will help pass out the flowers amongst the whole community. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and gifts to be one in desire and affection to thy loving will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the effort of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. These flowers connect us across generations and remind us that even in the most difficult times, there is something inherently worthy and beautiful in each one of us, and we are all connected. We now distribute the flowers. Now please rise in body or spirit in singing our next hymn, number 1058 in your teal hymnal, Be Ours a Religion. We'll be doing it twice.
Okay, this is a new one, so I'll play all the way through for...
As Unitarian Universalists, we draw upon and are inspired by sacred, secular, and scientific understandings to seek wisdom and practice compassion. Our reading today is from Reverend Norbert Kapek, the poem In the Depths, composed while he was imprisoned in Dresden by the Nazi government for his religious liberal organizing. In the depths of my soul, there where lies the source of my strength, where the divine and the human meet, there, quiet your mind, quiet, quiet. Outside, let lightning rain, horrible whiteness frighten the world, but from the depths of your own soul, from that silence, will rise again God's flower. Return to yourself, rest in yourself, live in the depths of your soul, where the divine and human meet. Tune your heart to the eternal, and in depths of your own soul, your panting quiets down, where the divine and the human meet. There is your refuge. We come together in community to share with one another, to support one another, and to celebrate with one another. We bear sacred witness to each other in this honored ritual. As we begin, we know that there are both great sorrows and great joys in our world that must be acknowledged as well. We light our first candle to honor those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around the world.
We light a second candle because we understand that amidst all of that pain, there is also celebration and joy in our world. We honor that joy and sorrow are woven together. For some of us here today, this has been a week of life-changing joy that needs to be lifted up in this worship. For others, this has been a time of deep pain and sorrow that needs to be shared to make the burden lighter. If this has been such a time for you, I invite you to come forward to the microphone, and I will light a candle for you, and you can briefly tell us of your joy or sorrow. You may also raise your hand in silent acknowledgement of your joys or sorrows, and I will light a candle for you then.
Hi, I'm Joanne Hefner, and I have a candle of concern. Yesterday, Ganelle Rystum, our fellow friend and congregant, she fell and she broke her wrist. So she is healing. I mean, she's doing okay, but she may need some help with meals or something like that. And I haven't had a chance to reach out to the Sharing and Caring Community Committee yet, but let me know if you can. I just did? Okay, there we go. All right. Anyway, my concern is for her. And she's at home, though, and managing pretty okay, I think. Sorry. And Leah Nelson was help. We were together with her in the hospital, and Betsy offered to help too. So it was nice that we were a community of helpers. It felt good to be that.
So I'm Maddie Hunter, and I want to honor the blessing of a 69-year friendship with my friend Gail, who's visiting today, and her husband Jim. Our lives have intertwined for so long, and we know one another's hearts and souls, and I just want to bless you both. Thank you for being here. We had a wonderful week together. They're visiting from Gloucester, Mass, and have been telling me about the amazing spirit of the UU faith for many, many years. How long? I don't even know how long it's been, but I'm here as a result of many of their messages to me. So.
Good morning again. I want to light a candle of joy because I was so privileged this weekend to take part in two of the most disparate musical performances that you could possibly imagine. On Friday night, my husband Pete got out of work early, which was a miracle, and spontaneously we wound up in Tarrytown to see Tito Puente Jr., which was completely mind-blowing. That was Friday. And last night, I saw Dar Williams. And each of these iconic musicians have so much soul, so much heart, and oof, wow, I'm like still lit up.
I'm Linda Schulman, and I have a sorrow to share today. It's been kind of an ongoing sorrow for the past 2 decades or more. I have a daughter that's been afflicted by both physical and mental illness, and I went to see her yesterday, and she was in horrible pain. She has something called tardive dyskinesia, which is a result of many years of psychotropic medications that she's been taking. So I just ask for your prayers for Amanda. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pat Krugman. I got a call from a social worker in Mount Vernon this past week, and this is a candle of bittersweet joy. I have a younger brother. I had 4 youngers, but my younger brother, Brian, who's 4 years younger than me, has had a lot of difficulties. And he has also had this romantic notion about living on the street. He lived with me for about, I would say 3 or 4 years, and he frightened me at one time, and I couldn't do that anymore. It was one of the hardest things I've had to do, to let go of seeing him. I've loved him dearly my whole life, and he makes me laugh like nobody else can. He is okay, but I have to explain to the social worker I can't talk with him. Just tell him I love him. Thank you for taking care of him. The good thing is that he's still alive, and that's how it goes. Thank you.
We light one final candle for all those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed, and for those outside of our walls who are searching for a place to bring the wholeness of their lives and be received with love. Join in just a moment of silence for all the joys and sorrows that have been shared in this room and that we are holding close in our hearts. Spirit of life and love, bigger than the universe and smaller than a grain of sand, with us in hard times and unknown times. Be with us in this time of changing seasons
to meet whatever comes before us. Give us the conviction to be curious and not fearful, and kind and not hard. Give us the grace to begin again when we must. May it be so. It is good to be here with you on this day. What I love about New Member Sundays is that they're opportunities to get reconnected to the core of who we are as a people and what we're about as a tradition. I also like to combine our new member ceremonies with the flower ceremony ritual because it speaks to me to the essence of what our tradition is about. I want to draw your attention to the icon at the front of the cover of your order of service, which comes to us from the Czech Unitarians. And Peter Saminsky, who is a minister in Czech Unitarian, writes that flower communion is still a religious communion in a real sense, but it's open to anybody. Anybody who has the opportunity to ask themselves, can I learn compassion? Can I share? Can I forgive? In this principle of the shared universality of nature, the flower communion reminds us, like Louis Pasteur said, one does not have to ask of one who suffers, what is your country and your religion? One merely says, you suffer. This is enough for you and me. You belong to me, and I shall help you. The symbol of flowers is present in the ritual, and it's present in the icon. The rays of sunlight at the top point to growth and our common connection to the one light. The different size flowers point to our diversity. The shape of the icon as a shield points to our need to protect that diversity and variety. And the pillars that make up the U talk about the sanctuaries, and they're open because we're called to not just be rooted inside, but to go out. And this icon is quite old. Almost as old as something that happened a century ago here in New York. And nearly a century ago, in 1926, when the flower communion was 3 years old, this sanctuary was just being built, the Unitarian ministers and lay leaders of metropolitan New York gathered at Community Church, where Karishma is now a seminarian, for a regional conference. And a core discussion of that conference was around the topic, quote, the function of church. And the predecessor of our denominational magazine, then called the Christian Register, reported on the events of the New York Unitarians, saying, quote, in this discussion, Miss Dorothy Dyer of Union Theological Seminary reported the Evanston Conference, giving news of the various reactions of young people to the religious life and demanding that religion justify its existence by programs of social amelioration. For the laymen, I should say people, but for the laymen, John Burnett Nash, who is treasurer of the Unitarian Social Service Council and a member of Community Church, urged the church not to content itself with the simple program of preaching and worship, but to take up the task of social service. For the ministers, Reverend H.G. Richardson of Yonkers, New York, which is now the First Unitarian Society of Westchester, conceived the business of the church to be, quote, the proclamation of the gospel and building up of individual character. And Dr. Wakefield Slayton of the West Side Unitarian Church, which did exist on 110th Street and is now a synagogue, summed up the results of the other speakers. It says, quote, wittily and justly, and then went on to say that he thought the principal function of the church was to pioneer new truth. And at a time when the adults of Unitarianism in New York were debating the purpose of church, the children and RE teachers at the Unitarian Church of Staten Island had an answer: love. According to the records of the magazine, that Sunday school in particular, over 8 years, made monthly donations for the relief and support of Unitarian children in Hungary. So while there was this ongoing impulse to reason, what are we about? I find that it was striking to lift up the children and the RE program as seeing clearly what we're about. We're going to gather, we're going to support each other, and we're going to support others in need. For most of the 1920s, which was a decade marked, even here in New York City and its surrounding areas and this beautiful state, it was haunted by prohibition, by xenophobia, by suspicion of immigrants. The people of our tradition at their best said, love has to be response to difference. Love beyond the walls of the sanctuary, love beyond the borders of the nation. And we're their descendants. Polarized and tension-filled. There were political leaders who were speaking about isolation. There were ministers being fired for their political organizing or support for labor unions. In New York State, the KKK was resurgent, even here in Croton-on-Hudson. And that racist organization actively worked to try to recruit ministers to their cause in Rockland and Westchester County. And the Reverend Mark Harris reminds us that the evil songs in the 1920s even tempted many Unitarians with support for forced euthanasia or eugenics. Immigration quotas restricted families from Asia, Latin America, Africa, Southern Europe, and Eastern Europe, including many Jews, from coming to the U.S. in large numbers, especially after 1924. And that's what makes those children so cool, because they were in a context where all the adults around them were giving messages, or many of the adults in power around them were giving messages of fear. And the RE instructors at Staten Island were like, no, we're going to continue to have relationships across boundaries and across borders. A historian in that last century was trying to figure out what is inspiring these commitments of Unitarians to seek out connection across difference. And this book, which you might have noticed we have in front of our stained glass, is by Earl Morse Wilbur. And he was fascinated to try to find out that question. What inspires Unitarians, people committed to free interpretation of Scripture in different contexts, to say, we're actually about the freedom of people? And he looked at England and India and North America and Central and Eastern Europe. And at the very back of his book, he wrote, "It is intended here, therefore, to present not so much a history of a particular sect as to consider broadly the development of a movement characterized by its steadfast and increasing devotion to these three leading principles: complete mental freedom in religion, rather than bondage, creeds, or confession; the unrestricted use of reason in religion, rather than reliance upon external authority or past tradition; and third, the generous tolerance of differing religious views and usages, rather than insistence upon uniformity in doctrine, in worship." But what is poignant to me is he says this: freedom, reason, and condition, which the true ends may best be obtained. The ultimate ends to a religious movement are personal and social. The elevation of personal character and the perfection of the social organism. Ultimately, the practice of love. All of our convictions are about this curious approach that here on earth we can grow and we can connect with others and we can support freedom. Wilbur suggested that the religious freedom, the spiritual openness, that commitment to comparison and reason were gateways to a deeper unity, Unitarian, the deeper unity, the experience of the Spirit, the hope of one world, divine unity, love, compassion. So at their best, our ancestors were about creating temples and spaces and gateways to love. Reverend Joseph Ben David attended the Czech Unitarian Society where Dr. Kapik was minister when he was a young man in the 30s. And Ben David reflected in an interview later on, he said, at the time I was a young person trying to clarify my own identity. I was today what I would call an ethical atheist. And when I listened to Dr. Kapik and Dr. Haskell, who is his successor, they introduced me to a liberal kind of religious thought. They helped me to find a way to a spirit concept which has moral meaning, which doesn't contradict reason and is realistic. They introduced me to the art of relaxation and meditation, which helped me to overcome difficult situations in my life. Ben David continues, ultimately, human beings no longer have to live like predators, destined to kill each other. The characteristic element, Ben David says, of the Czech Unitarians is a deep belief in what Havel called living in truth. Such truth is never an orthodox authoritarian dogma. It's speaking and loving and searching for truth, particularly in the face of powerful, humanly destructive adversaries. It's about transformation and redeeming one another. And we practice the flower ceremony when we welcome new members as a reminder of these old truths. And they're truths that challenged and inspired those Unitarians gathering in New York. One minister who was in New York but was not at that meeting was Reverend Egbert Ethelred Brown, and he and his family were Caribbean immigrants to the U.S. who founded the Harlem Unitarian Church during the same years that the flower ceremony was coming into existence and the children on Staten Island were supporting children in Hungary. For Reverend Brown, he felt imperfect as we will always be, our tradition has had and still has the chance to make a real and concrete difference in our personal lives and communities, to create a model for others and to test and improve ourselves. Brown thought that the progressive transformation and enrichment of individual and social life through religion, according to advancing knowledge and a growing vision, that's what we're about. According to someone who attended his congregation, the Dr. Joyce Turner, Brown argued that the gateway to such a religion was threefold: mission, temple, and forum. Mission, grounded in open debate. The core of regular, everyday, every attending congregation members do the work of the society, carry on its business, discern its mission, write its budget, lead the RE programs, do outreach work. Open debate leads to the mission of our congregations. Brown called for a temple for spiritual awakening through song, prayer, readings, meditations, and conversations on Sundays, in small groups, and throughout the year. And Brown had a vision of a forum for spiritual activism, something in modern language Dr. Paula Cole-Jones would call a community of communities, where people within the larger congregation gather in smaller groups for the work of arts, for the work of spirit, for the work of social justice, for the work of caring for buildings and imagining how they can be of public use. Brown, Kapik, the children on Staten Island, they're all our ancestors. And they all faced challenges, some of the everyday, some horrific. But I am humbled to be connected to a tradition that asks us to think about who we are called to be in the world. And what difference can we make? Dr. Kapik, who offered this beautiful ritual and cherished it and nurtured it over 20 years, was arrested by the Nazi government when Prague was occupied, and he was killed in a concentration camp. He had an opportunity before his arrest to escape to the United States because of some connections with the Unitarian leadership, but he declined, and he wanted to be with his people for whatever happened to them. His wife survived the war and went to the United States, Maja, and she spent her life practicing the virtues of this faith. She inspired congregations around the world to take what had been the Prague Unitarian practice and make it something that is seen in congregations all over this planet. Even when faced with profound hell, she found a way to continue and say, that's not the end of my story, and that's not the end of our family story. We are connected to these people. The second flower communion in the entire United States was at First Unitarian Brooklyn in 1948. Our state was part of spreading it around the world. We inherit so much from our ancestors, good, bad, complicated. But what a gift to be part of this story. That old question they asked in 1926, what is the function of the congregation? I suggest it is the balance and integration of comforting love and liberating love, stewarding spaces of relationship. Comforting love are the rituals, community, and individual that ground us. Comforting love is sharing ancient and modern stories and songs, learning our history, thinking about our own religious autobiographies, which are still unfolding, and caring for one another in moments of illness and sickness and sadness and surprise and joy. Comforting love asks us, what is your spiritual practice? Are you paying attention to the silent moments? How can we help each other? Liberating love is the action of risk-taking for justice, public protest, organized advocacy, deep sharing in community circles, re-examining the budget to consider our call and mission, using our building for public good and connection, and especially siding with the most marginalized. Liberating love asks, what is the role of our congregation in Metro New York? How does our building serve as a place of support and allyship? At a time when innocent people have been killed by the police here in Westchester year after year, when Jewish and Muslim neighbors experience harassment, when individuals are unhoused, when so many people are lonely, what are we in this blessed and sacred sanctuary and relationship called to do? If we listen and cultivate comforting love and liberating love, the transformations are unknown. But if we do that, we'll be part of a roll call of healing that connects us to some amazing kids on Staten Island, that connects us to a Caribbean family creating a new church during the Harlem Renaissance, that connects us to Norbert and Maja and all those working to build rituals of reconnection and hope in a world that's cold. When I fell in love with this faith, I couldn't believe a religious story existed over centuries of people trying to do good. Not always perfectly, sometimes failing spectacularly, but always willing to try again. And I said, I need to be part of this. And today, 3 people did that here. And I'm grateful to be with you on this sacred Sunday. Let's be like those kids in Staten Island. May it be so.
Each week, we make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love and generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those that in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. This month, our collection will also be shared with Fred's Pantry in Peekskill, New York. Fred's Pantry provides farm-to-pantry healthy, nutritious food to more than 350 households per week. For more information, please visit the website chhop.org. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the link provided in the e-newsletter or by visiting our website, uuchudsonvalley.org. Or if you prefer, you may always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in your order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Now please stand in body or spirit and join in singing our final hymn, number 55 in your gray hymnal, Dark of Winter.
Let my
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May we encounter joy. May we create communities of connection. May we be space and love and light and hope and darkness. Together, let us go out into the world. May it be so. Please enjoy hospitality. Be Yourself Bookshop is in the fellowship hall, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
Very much enjoyed this.